Welcome, everyone, to episode number 1 of the Second Amendment Daily Show. I'm Patrick Parsons, one of your 4 co-hosts tonight, but the Second Amendment Daily Show, we're here to talk about Second Amendment issues, all the Second Amendment issues that are meant to be talked about, and all the Second Amendment issues that the fake news media doesn't want us to talk about. Guys, welcome in. I'm Patrick Parsons, Executive Director of Georgia Gun Owners. I'm here in Kennesaw, Georgia. I'm one of your 4 co-hosts tonight. I'm going to welcome in our other co-hosts right now, guys. First one up is Aaron Dorr in Iowa of Iowa Gun Owners. How are things going up in Des Moines, Iowa, Aaron?
Doing good, Patrick. Happy to be on tonight. Happy to be here.
First one up is Aaron Dorr. Great to have you on, my man, Aaron. The next co-host that I want to invite on right now, guys, is Chris Dorr, who's up in Beaver Creek, Ohio. Chris, what's happening up there, my man?
Not much. It's very nice weather out tonight. Could be motorcycle riding right now.
Excellent. Excellent, guys. And then we've got Ben Dorr. He is located in the belly of the beast. There's a lot going on up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. How are you doing, Ben? What's happening?
Good. What's not happening up in Minnesota so far is it's not cold yet.
And
yes, in case you're wondering, all 3 of us, Aaron, Chris, and I, are brothers. We are brothers.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty
Can't
as
pick
charged.
your family. Can't pick your family.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not one of those brothers, but we all know each other pretty well, guys. Now, what is the Second Amendment Daily Show? You're probably asking yourself, what the heck is this all about, guys? Let me tell you what the Second Amendment Daily Show is, and let me tell you what the Second Amendment Daily Show is.
I'll just jump in here. I'll tell you what the Second Amendment Daily Show is not. The Second Amendment Daily Show is not where you're going to tune in to figure out and finally hear conclusively what gun platform is better, the 1911 or the Glocks. We all know that argument has been settled already.
Yeah, it's the Glock. We all know that.
Yeah. Okay. We are not going there. That's we're not going. That's not what this show is about.
Okay.
The other thing that this show is not about, it's not about, we're not a bunch of, former Navy SEALs. We're not, this isn't some kind of an operators union or something like that. This show, the Second Amendment Daily Show, is about gun politics, plain and simple. The fight to defend, maintain, and advance our gun rights at the local level, at the state level, especially at the legislative level, and up to the federal level.
I think it's pretty obvious. I think we could all agree here that the fight for gun rights has moved to the states in the wake of the Parkland, Florida shooting. Ever since the Trump was added to put in the White House, the fight for gun rights, the gun control movement intentionally moved to the states because they know they can't pass anything right now on a gun control basis in Washington, D.C. But man, it is on at the state level. And this, like you said, Chris, there is 19,000 different podcasts out there about guns and gun reviews, and I love them and I watch them as often as I can. But this podcast is the front lines on the fight for gun rights, and not just in these states you see here. A lot of us guys work in many states. You're going to hear stories from Wyoming, North Carolina, Ohio, obviously, lots of states where we've all operated because I think the old guard, a lot of times, the old way of fighting for gun rights, it just sucks. It's failed us. It's not working. I think we all know that. A lot of these the old groups, kind of the good old boys club, they'd come to the Capitol and they'd have their bromance, with the gun guy in the caucus, whoever that person was. And it's those same people now who are screwing us over left and right. And that's why we're seeing gun control pass in Republican states, whether it's red flags or raising the age of when you can buy a firearm in Florida. And so, like you said, Chris, and I think we're on the same page here, this entire podcast is about the fight for gun rights, specifically in the states, what's working, what's not working. And, if there's a gun group in your state that's actually fighting the right way, we'll be happy to point you to them. You know what? If there's not, we'll help you get one set up, too. We're here for gun owners at the state level, wherever you're at.
And I'm going to jump in here really quick. Guys, at any time, this show is about you guys. It's about interacting back and forth. So one thing I want you guys to all feel free to do, whatever page you're watching this on, jump in there and comment. Let us know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are hearing, stuff like that.
Ask questions.
Ask questions all the time because that's what this show is all about, interfacing with you guys about gun politics.
Yeah, exactly, guys. And that's a key point. We want this podcast to be big. We want it to be big, not only here on Facebook, and we're going to be rolling out some other platforms as well, one of which is YouTube. So you can go and subscribe to our YouTube page. We just launched it today, guys. The Second Amendment Daily Show. You can find it on YouTube. So go and subscribe down there. Also like the Facebook page, Second Amendment Daily. Second Amendment Daily. You can like it right down there in the comments section right there, guys. But let us know where you are watching from. We know we've got folks in Georgia, Minnesota. I've already seen them, Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina. I've got Alex. I know him from Georgia. We've got Bill in the woods, Minnesota, guys. Let us know where you're watching from. Comment down in the comment section. But we are talking about, like I said, all the Second Amendment issues that are fit to be talked about and everything that the fake news media doesn't want us to talk about, guys. So please like and share this video. Pass it around to family and friends. But now we're going to get right into the real conversation, what we want to talk about tonight, guys. And again, we want y'all to ask questions down in the comment section, guys. But everything changed on February 14th, 2018. What happened on February 14th, 2018, guys? It was the Parkland shooting. There's no doubt about it. You can't run away from it. We know what happened down there. We had a nutbag who went and shot up a school, but we also know that the government visited this guy 35, 40 times. They knew who he was. The FBI had talked to him. And
no, the FBI was told about him twice and didn't even communicate to the field office and go talk to him in person.
Exactly. So they didn't do anything. But the point is that after Donald Trump or whoever won in November of 2016, whatever that was, the anti-establishment wave that came out through there, guys, everybody thought offense. And there has been a lot of offense, really, even before that, guys. But you've seen Republicans in D.C. and we've seen Republicans.
Because that's what gun owners expect. I mean, they do all that hard work during election season. They go door to door for their candidates. They dump money into their campaigns. And so now our team finally gets back into control. And so that's what gun owners rightfully expect from their legislators is offense. Pass some pro-gun bills.
Exactly. But what happened, what we saw on February 14th, 2018, now just before February 14th, Parkland, we had no idea who David Hogg was. I mean, who likes Hogg out there? Dopey David Hogg. This guy is a total tool of Bloomberg, Soros. He's funded completely and totally 100% funded by the left, guys. But don't take it for granted. Oh, we think he's a dopey, dumb guy or whatever. But guys, they are active, they are mobilized, they are fired up, they are well funded, and us four guys here, we are on the front lines at the state capitals in this country, fighting these gun grabbers, and we have been for years, really. And that's why I want to go and talk to Aaron, who's been on the front lines for over a decade in Iowa. And Aaron, you guys were on offense in your state. You were about to pass constitutional care. I believe it was through the state Senate. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Parkland happened. So tell us what happened in Iowa and how the mood changed and how Republicans really caved, to be honest with you.
I might pause for a minute and just discuss. I think we'll all do a little bit of for those who are on the Iowa gun owners page, I think everybody there knows who I am. But for those of you watching out there all across the country right now, you probably are kind of curious, who are these guys? What is this all about? I mean, I'm the oldest brother of Ben and Chris, and we've been involved in the gun rights battle for a long time here in Iowa. We founded IGO back in 2009 because we had May issue. I mean, most of the country had already gotten away from that crap, and we had a bunch of bad lawmakers who were endorsed by the establishment gun lobby, and they were doing nothing. And so the fight for gun rights in Iowa has been raging for 10 years. Here we passed a great big gun rights bill in 2017, got stand your ground law passed. But I live near Des Moines with my wife and 6 kids, and I've been very active in gun rights in Iowa. I work heavily in Missouri, down the Capitol in Jeff City. We passed a landmark bill down there in 2016. In fact, you guys were all involved in that fight. Constitutional carry, stand your ground law, a huge bill. And I work a lot in Wyoming, actually, and love working out in Wyoming, too. We just passed stand your ground law out there, And so the only 3 states that have passed stand your ground laws since the big debacle in Florida with Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman are these states. And I think that speaks a lot about and we're going to discuss this a lot tonight, about the failure of the old guard when it comes to how the fight for gun rights has been going on. And so, yeah, I live outside of West Des Moines, and wife and 6 kids, and we love fighting for gun rights. That's my story. And like I mentioned, in Iowa here, it's been raging for a long time. We were on the cusp of passing constitutional carry through the full committee this year, and the committee vote was the day after the Parkland shooting. And like we saw happen all across the country, a complete 180, and all these pro-gun lawmakers, or many of them anyway, did an about-face, and it's been defense ever since then. That's kind of my backstory. That's kind of what's going on right now in Iowa.
Chris, in Ohio, everybody hates John Kasich, and I'm not even talking about Ohio. I'm talking about all across the country. But he's a Republican. Okay, he's a Republican. We know what the left wing is. We know what the left is going to do. That's fake news. Exactly. It's a rhino is what we call him, guys. But tell us about Ohio. Tell us about yourself. What you've been doing with Ohio gun owners. You're the executive director up there. Fastest growing, most effective organization up there. Let us know what's happened and how you fought the gun control push by Kasich and some other details up there against the gun grabbers.
Well, first of all, before I jump into all that, I want to apologize because for some reason this camera is screwing this up, and it says Ohio. This actually says Ohio gun owners right there, but it's backwards, kind of like our governor. So if you guys are getting triggered by that a little bit, I'm getting triggered by it too because I can see it on my own screen. But yeah, my name is Chris Dorr. I'm the director for Ohio Gun Owners. I'm Aaron's younger brother. I'm Ben's older brother. And I'm married to one wife. I've got 6 kids. Jack, Liza, Abby, Charlie, Eva. I'm missing one, and I'm going to hear about it later.
I think that'd be Eric.
Oh, Eric. Yeah, sorry, the newest one. He'll definitely let me know. But we live right by the Xenia area in East Central Ohio, or West Central Ohio. And I got my start in gun politics. For those of you who are watching this on the Ohio channel, this is nothing new to you guys. But I got my start in gun politics in Iowa with my brother Aaron. We were trying to, like he talked about there, we're trying to fix the May issue situation. But I moved out here a couple of years ago to also work with Ohio gun owners and the efforts that we were trying to take here. Ohio is an absolute ghetto Republican state. We have 2 Republicans for every 1 Democrat in this state. And yet, Ohio is the only state in America where the burden of proof is on the accused. If somebody has to use a firearm in a self-defense situation, the burden of proof is on them legally in court to prove that they acted in self-defense, rather than the burden of proof being on the prosecutor to prove that you didn't act in self-defense. So that's what the Republicans are doing for us here. So we're not a stand your ground state. We're not a constitutional carry state. Bills that have passed in states with far less Republican power. But then Parkland, Florida happened. And it just so happens that our governor, and you pronounce his last name wrong there, Patrick. His name is not John Kasich. It is John Kasich. And that's what he does. He sucks as a governor in a variety of ways. But everybody knows, if you've been following gun politics for a long time, John Kasich is the famous guy who back in 1994 voted for the Clinton assault weapons ban, the Clinton gun ban. And he even got a letter from Bill Clinton to prove it. Well, fast forward. He wanted to run for governor in the state of Ohio. All of a sudden, he started saying that, oh, I'm pro-gun. You know, he had a come to Jesus Damascus moment. And now he's term limited. He's out. In January, he's done. December 31st, he's out. Problem is, everybody knows it's the worst kept secret in Washington, D.C. and in Columbus. This guy wants to run for president. He's severely hurt about the fact that Donald Trump beat him. And so now he's trying desperately to pass red flags. Red flags. We keep hearing that term, red flags. He wants Ohio to be the next Florida. Yes. And so the moment he launched out on this, we started fighting back. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just thinking about Trump when in the I think at the end it was Trump and Ted Cruz, and in the 2016 elections, like Trump, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich. It was like, what in the heck is this guy on here for? He's so annoying. And what was it that Trump used to make fun of him for when he would, every time John Kasich, the governor of Ohio, John Kasich, would be anywhere, he'd be on Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough, and he would have a giant plate of waffles and fruit, and he would just take these monster bites. And Trump just used to make fun of him like crazy. I mean, that was hilarious to me. But
he's going for a monster bite out of gun owners' backsides. At least he has been
right.
this entire year, certainly in Columbus, as we'll hear about, I'm sure, later on.
Exactly, guys. If you're just now joining us, we're gonna have Ben say something here in just a minute, guys, up in Minnesota, guys. But if you're just now joining us, this is episode number 1 of the Second Amendment Daily Show. It is the inaugural episode. We want to hear from y'all. We've got some comments. I've got a guy, somebody from Kansas City, Missouri. We've got people in Georgia. Got people all over the country. David Hogg is a nut. Thomas Skinner, you may want to start one of these in Pennsylvania. We're in trouble over here as well. So how could, we'll talk about that down the line. But Ben is one of our other co-hosts. He's also another Door brother. Ben, tell the viewers about yourself and what you can bring to this Second Amendment conversation. We're up there in Minneapolis and what you guys are facing up there.
I mean, I'm just super excited to be here. I just want to say that first of all. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. We got some big trouble up here in Minnesota. We have Governor Marblemouth for all the Minnesotans out there. I mean, at least John Kasich could string some words together. That's more than we can say about Governor Mark Dayton, but he's out finally, and we're running some gubernatorial elections now. But I'm Ben Dorr. I'm the younger of the two here. I live in Northfield, Minnesota, just south of the cities, because I really couldn't bear to live in the cities, I guess. And I got a wife and 2 kids, William and Elliot. And, hey, they're the reason I do this job and why we fight for these rights and freedoms. And, quite frankly, we've been getting sold out so bad in this state. And it's the same in all these other states as well. I mean, it's the same story across the country. But we have, Republican House, a Republican Senate with absolute backstabbing rhino leadership in both chambers, stabbing gun owners in the back, sponsoring gun control bills, killing off. We don't have stand your ground here. 36 states have it. Minnesota doesn't have it. We don't have constitutional carry. We have horrible self-defense laws. We're a lot like Ohio, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is the major fight we've been involved in for years up here, getting stabbed in the back by leadership. And we got a big slog ahead of us. But
before we break off into the next talking the minutiae, I want to answer some of these questions here. We're getting some shout outs from my guys here in Urbandale, Iowa. We got Derek Schwartz saying what's going to happen in the elections in light of the Parkland shootings and Las Vegas. Keep it up, guys. Derek, a longtime member of Iowa gun owners. Derek, it kind of depends on the state. Here in Iowa, we're on offense in the sense that we're going after guys like Senator Kevin Kinney with a vengeance. Just in a couple of weeks here, it's going to kick off over in District 39 over in Washington and Keokuk County on offense in races like Amanda Reagan's Senate race up there in the north central Iowa area. So I think the answer in Iowa is that we're going to continue to be on offense. We do have a major problem, as you know, Derek, with a bunch of weak-kneed chumps in the Iowa House who, while they're not moving gun control yet, they're certainly walking away from constitutional carry and walking away from the aggressive moves that gun owners in Iowa demand, because, of course, as we know, we have a pro-gun majority for the first time since the 90s. So we're going to be watching that, Derek. Yeah, exactly. But the answer across the country, it kind of comes down to, is there organizations on the ground in your state that are fighting, that are pushing the agenda? Because, like I said at the onset here, the old guard and the old way of doing it. Look, every state has a gun group. Some have 5, some have 6. But a lot of these organizations operate on this butt-kissing mentality. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. And they want to come down to the Capitol and they beg and they plead, and whatever happens, they endorse these incumbents. And it happens over and over and over and over and over.
For example, right here in Ohio, John Kasich, Mike Haney, John Eklund, Stephanie Coonsey, all the people that are trying desperately to cram this gun control down our throats, just like what happened in Florida. They are Republicans. They have been endorsed by the establishment gun lobby, aka the NRA.
Yeah, exactly. Now, somebody asked, well, I've got a couple of questions here, guys. We've got, well, first of all, Daniel Henderson, Kansas City, Missouri, home of constitutional carry.
Missouri Firearms Coalition.
Yeah, Missouri Firearms Coalition. I should mention that Aaron did a lot of work with them. There's no doubt about it. He's on the board of directors there, as am I. We were key in getting this thing passed in Missouri, making Missouri, what was it, the 11th or 12th constitutional carry state, guys?
I think so.
We've got Lancaster, Ohio. There's Dale. Thanks for getting together. Thanks for being on, Dale. Everybody take a chance to share and also comment below in the comment section. Where are you watching from? We want this to be nationwide. Again, this is the first inaugural episode, guys.
Yep.
But I've got, of course, I'm here in Georgia. I'll introduce myself, just 30 seconds. Patrick Parsons, my wife, Ryan Ashley. I have 3 children, another on the way. So that means I'm going to have 4 kids. Ben has 2. Chris has
6.
Aaron?
6.
So 12, 2 is 14, and then 4 is me. 18 children between the 4 of us here, guys. And I think Ben said it earlier. We do this, huge, he says. We do this because we 100% care about our country. We care about our past. We care about our future. And we care about our children and our grandchildren and everybody who's going to come after us, that we know that what the Second Amendment is all about is protecting and defending our families, our country, our communities, our state from enemies, foreign and domestic, tyrants, and on and on and on. And we know that these politicians, somebody asked me on here, he says, is Georgia a stand your ground state? Well, yes, it is. It's been common law for a long, long time. They codified it a couple decades ago, guys. But Stacey Abrams, who's running down here, she is the darling of the left. Michael Bloomberg, George Soros, $35 to $50 million they're paying to try to elect this woman, who is very clear. She wants to repeal stand your ground, and we're facing this all over the country. And what it means if we don't have stand your ground is duty to retreat. That means exactly what it is. If somebody's coming after you, you've got to run the other way. Okay?
But the problem is, it's not just Stacey Abrams anymore. We all know she's a radical socialist nut job down there in Georgia. But we got guys like Marco Rubio out there who are publicly saying we have to disarm people unless they're 21 years of age. Not just the AR-15, every freaking thing. We have U.S. senators in places like Kansas echoing the same thing.
Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania.
You got state lawmakers all over the country right now who claim to be on the pro-gun side, who are endorsing a litany of gun control from red flags and on it goes.
Yeah.
What's that, Chris?
I said, and Rob Portman. You can always add him to the list.
Rob Portman. And who would have thunk? Okay, we said, if you're just now joining us, guys, again, this is episode 1 of the Second Amendment Daily Show. I'm Patrick Parsons. We've got Chris Dorr, Aaron Dorr, and Ben Dorr. We are spread out across the country. We are talking about all the Second Amendment news that the fake news media doesn't want you to hear, and that the establishment, the old guard, doesn't want you to hear as well. The battles are at the grassroots level, and we saw a major failure of the Second Amendment grassroots in Florida after February 14th of 2018, Parkland shooting happened. You had Rick Scott, the governor of Florida, and you had 65 A-rated legislators who had campaigned for years about, I'm for the Second Amendment, I'm this and that, and they folded like a cheap suit down there. And the big 3-letter Second Amendment organizations in D.C., they failed, okay? They failed. The state-level groups, they failed. They weren't ready to fight. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and it's not like it was hard to see this coming. After the Vegas shootings, they came out, the NRA came out and said, "Oh, we're gonna back off, on these bump stocks." Then you had the Sutherland Springs, Texas shooting, and then you had this one in Parkland, Florida. It was not hard to see that the radical left was working overtime to create a tidal wave. And so when everything started happening down there in Florida, I mean, it was plain as day to the gun rights community, to us, what was on the line and what that would mean if Florida would pass it. And so after Florida fell, essentially becoming the first Republican super Republican state to do this, then Vermont followed suit. And then it came right here to Ohio with Governor John Kasich and the great big push here. What was that? Oh, something. Never mind. Somebody was laughing.
I was reading some comments here. We'll get to them.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, people, just jump in here and comment and ask questions and stuff. That's what this show is all about.
Yeah, guys. While we're at it, share this video. Share. Get it pushed out there, guys. We want to be the voice for the grassroots movement here in this country. We already are. Between us in about 8 or 10 states where we operate. We're based out of the states that you see behind us. Chris, of course, is flipped, but he's in Ohio, guys. But here's the deal. We're going to get a little bit topic right now. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about and whatever y'all ask us. If you have questions down in the comment section, guys, ask the questions.
Let me jump in for a moment before we jump into topics here. We are getting asked by I think it was Cody. No, Chris. Yes. Mickey says, in short, what does the stand your ground law do for us as law-abiding citizens? And we've all helped to pass that in Iowa, Missouri, and Wyoming just in the last 3 years. It passed in Wyoming just this year, which actually was a hell of a fight out there. Despite, it's Wyoming. It was still a big fight.
And Governor Meade vetoed it. Is that correct? He's
no, Governor Meade just was a chicken that didn't refused to sign or veto, so it became law in his absence.
That's a win.
That's a win. Chris, the answer to your question simply is that absent stand your ground law, if somebody tries to attack you, your family, an innocent third party, and you take defensive action in fear for your life and that of your family, you're going to have to prove later in court why you did not retreat or did not retreat further, or why you felt that, how dare you think you have the right to defend yourself in a public place when you could have retreated. Castle doctrine covers your home, your business, your car. Stand your ground law extends that protection to any place you're lawfully allowed to be. And without that protection, what that means then, again, is you're going to have to retreat. There's been some high-profile cases. You can Google J. Rodney Lewis in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yes.
One of the most egregious violations of this concept we've ever heard about. We can talk about that. But the other aspect also is the issue of civil immunity. And so, in other words, if you survive the legal interactions after your use of force scenario, you're almost guaranteed to be bankrupted in civil court by the thug that you had to shoot or his estate, because, of course, we all know that grandma's going to come out and say what a nice young man he was afterwards.
Such a good boy.
It happens every freaking time. And they're going to drag you into civil court. And the old phrase in civil court is, even if you win, you lose, because you're going to spend a fortune trying to get through court. So stand your ground law protects gun owners from the ravages of thugs and thugs in the prosecutorial system that certainly exist in lots of communities if you are forced to use a firearm. It's no blank check. It doesn't change the rules on who you can shoot, when you can shoot. It's just if you are allowed to take defensive action, there's no need to retreat first. That's the answer to your question, Chris.
Pretty common sense.
Yeah, speaking of defensive action, TNY, DLNY, I think it's Tony Delaney, maybe, I don't know, but he asked the question, where's Dopey David Hogg and his ilk when there's a terrorist training camp for school shooting? So here's the scene. If you hadn't heard about that, guys, you may have seen it on Breitbart. You may have seen it on our website, secondamendmentdaily.com, secondamendmentdaily.com. What we have is, and I'll take just a minute to do this, guys, but what we had out in New Mexico, you had the Islamic terrorist training camp. We're telling everybody what it is. That is what it is. What we have is, and it doesn't want us to talk about it, guys, but you had 11 or 12 kids out there who were being trained by Islamic terrorists. Siraj Wahhaj, the son of Siraj Wahhaj, the Islamic imam up in New York City who was implicated in the 1993 World Trade Center attack, guys. His son was out there. That somebody alerts them. They go out there, and they are training these kids to be school shooters. Okay, now the media is trying to wipe this under the rug, but lo and behold, they find a dead baby buried in a shallow grave in the middle of the desert. This sounds like a Breaking Bad, if you've ever seen that show. Yeah, horror show. But Siraj Wahhaj, and I'm just talking about this because it does have Georgia connections. His son was from Georgia, Stone Mountain or Livonia or Lithonia or something out here. He steals the kid, takes him out there. Well, it turns out that socialist Stacey Abrams down here in Georgia, one of her campaign endorsers is Linda Sarsour. Linda Sarsour, you may have seen our campaign ad down here, Socialist Stacey, Sarsour, and Soros. Linda Sarsour endorsed Stacey Abrams. Linda Sarsour, her mentor, and we have her on videotape saying this, her mentor is Imam Siraj Wahhaj up in Brooklyn, okay? So all these people are tied together. Where's David Hogg? That's the answer to the question. He's marching right now from Boston or something to Worcester, Massachusetts, to is it Smith & Wesson headquarters or something up there?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are hardened leftists. They want to destroy our Second Amendment rights, and they ignore situations like this. And that's one reason we want y'all to tune into the Second Amendment Daily Show, because we are talking about the issues that the fake news media will not talk about. Okay, right. So I just finished my rant. I'm done. Mic drop. Right.
Well, I mean, we all know this to be true. I mean, in politics, you always hear politicians saying things like, "Look, we're all engaging in the democratic process to create a better world for everybody," right? And if you're upset about the state of things, well, you're obviously intolerant and don't want to be involved in this democratic process. When in reality, we all know that these are radical leftists who hate America. They hate America. They don't love America like we love America. They don't love patriotism. They don't love our flag. They don't love gun rights. They want to see these things destroyed at all costs, and they couch it all in this political rhetoric. And so we've been getting our teeth kicked in by these people. And I just want to say, I mean, clearly what's happened nationwide is many Republicans have decided that gun rights is bad politics, that it's better to, and we've seen here in Minnesota, we got state senators galore sponsoring universal background checks, red flags, gun seizures. Congressman Eric Paulson from Minnesota either sponsoring or co-sponsoring the national red flags gun seizure bill in Congress.
These are Republicans.
These are Republicans.
These are all Republicans.
Republican. And so that's we're not here to play sides, play teams. We're here to expose anti-gunners and let people know what we're seeing in these different states across the country. So,
and you got to know, if there's not an organization in your state, guys, who are doing this, that for the love of heaven, first of all, stop sending them money. If they're playing games with these lawmakers, that's got to stop. That's got to stop, and help set one up in your own state. But the fight for gun rights is moving local, moving to your state level. They're not passing gun control in D.C. They know that, at least not much. They're not passing pro-gun bills in D.C., not nothing. And that's going to continue for the time being with this stalemate. Maybe if President Trump gets 2 or 3 more seats in the Senate, maybe they got some spots there if they don't lose Congress, which are all facts that are not known for sure yet. But before I continue on, I wanted to mention we have over 65 people watching right now on our Facebook page. We only have a couple of them who've actually taken the time to like the link, guys, and join up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We all know how much the Facebook overlords hate conservatives. Our pages, like all conservative pages, are under attack all the time. So head over to our link right here. It's been posted, I believe, in the comment section right now, and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you guys can see what's going on in case these pages get shut down, which might be happening. We don't know. Lots of posts being removed today on conservative groups. It was on Drudge earlier today, but we mentioned David Hogg, but I think again, this fight is only beginning now, because Bloomberg announced just in the last couple of weeks tens of millions that he intends to spend this year in the next 70 something odd days between
75.
now and election day, to hammer through gun control. He's not focusing on DC. They're focused, at least not as much. They're focusing on state level issues all across the country. He's been endorsing, candidates in Minnesota. I know that, Ben. He's been endorsing people there and endorsing folks in state races. We are being asked from some guys from the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Big shout out to our friends in Missouri, asking about the race with Claire McCaskill. That's going to be obviously ground zero on the federal front, for the next couple months here, as we look to see. It's the easiest chance for a pickup, for pro-gun forces to get a pickup. Claire McCaskill has been on a relentless 8-year battle, to crush gun owners. And if you're not aware of that, guys, you got to be getting emails from the Missouri Firearms Coalition. They have been pounding the pavement with the top 10 list that Claire McCaskill hopes you never see when it comes to her abuses against the Second Amendment. So that is one exception, Daniel, down in Missouri, but the states is where it's going to be happening both this fall and next year.
Yeah, actually, on that point, I wanted to read to everybody this. This is an article in the Wall Street Journal just a couple of days ago. I think it was August 9th. The headline of the article is "The Democratic Party's New Litmus Test: Gun Control." And just like Aaron was talking about a minute ago, about how this is how they've kind of refocused, that their focus is now at the state level, how Bloomberg is dumping in all this money. I'm going to read you a couple of paragraphs here really quick. I think it really succinctly sums this up. It says, the Democrat shift on guns has been spurred by a political infrastructure built after Sandy Hook. Since then, Mr. Bloomberg's groups have spent more than $200 million building an army of 5 million supporters and a crew of lobbyists in state capitals. Folks, I know Ben had it. We've all had it. We've especially the March for Our Lives crap. But like right here in Ohio, they got a team that is there consistently going office to office, legislator to legislator. Right now, they're meeting with legislators in their districts. These people are radical. They're militant. They're pushing hard. I'm going to keep going here for just a second. It says, the truth is there was really no grassroots on the gun safety side. Everytown President John Feinblatt says the NRA put out emergency alerts. The switchboards on Capitol Hills and state capitals lit up like the 4th of July. We didn't have that kind of power. It goes on right here. This is very important. Mr. Feinblatt borrowed a strategy from the same-sex marriage movement, which focused on winning state and local victories before moving on Washington. In 2014, Everytown spent $400,000 on Democrats in Oregon state Senate races, and it goes on to talk about how they've completely destroyed the Second Amendment there in Oregon because they started local. And that's what we've been fighting tooth and nail, especially right here in Ohio. You guys in all your other states have been fighting it too, but they learned their lesson after Newtown. They tried to cram it down our throats from the top down. And in 2013, it didn't work. They came right back, and now they're building from the grassroots up. So
and we're watching this, and so the effects of Florida are being reverberated all through the country right now. You got a Republican House, Senate, and governor pass red flags, gun seizures, and now they're seizing guns all over the place in Florida now. I don't know if you guys have seen those news articles. They're just taking guns, with no due process, no charges being filed. They're just nabbing people's firearms. And now, like right here in Minnesota, and we're seeing this in a lot of other states, you got anti-gunners sitting right here in Minnesota in hearings on red flags gun seizure bills, using Florida as a tool to beat the pro-gunners over the head with, saying, look, hey, if Florida can pass a common sense gun control law like red flags, why can't Minnesota? It's a Republican state in Florida after all. And so they're using those victories to try to bludgeon the rest of the country to pass their gun control laws.
I think it's also important to note that some people, I think, in the gun rights movement think this only happens in places like Minnesota, liberal states like Minnesota. Maybe it happens in Ohio because Kasich is crazy. But the bottom line is that, as you were reading, Chris, these activists that they're training, they're everywhere. When I was testifying this year on behalf of Wyoming gun owners out there in Cheyenne, when we passed Stand Your Ground law in Cheyenne this year, there was more Bloomberg-backed lion mommies, as you guys like to call them, with their Bloomberg T-shirts on, than there were gun owners in Cheyenne, Wyoming, trying to fight against our efforts to pass the Stand Your Ground law. I know in Missouri, when we're down there testifying, we're usually outnumbered literally 100 to 1 in committee hearings in deep, positive pro-Trump, pro-gun country Missouri. And so this is not just happening in these liberal states or in swing states. It is everywhere. Right. And gun owners have to realize that if you got a lot of guys, hey, you got your guns and that's fantastic, but think of your kids and your grandkids, because this fight is only beginning. It's only beginning right now.
Yeah, down here, just a quick aside, 2 weekends ago, everybody here in Georgia, it's great weather, not too hot. You're playing golf, you're at your kid's baseball game, you're hanging out with your family or whatever. Well, Michael Bloomberg blows in, by the way, he's running for president, everyone, most likely in 2020. If you didn't know that, that's why he's spending $80 million this year. But it was a Saturday afternoon, and I knew it was happening, but they had pictures. 1,000 anti-gunners were congregated to hear Michael Bloomberg and Stacey Abrams speak, and then they were phone banking. So they were making tens of thousands of calls to people telling them, we've got to have gun control now. And so that's the point. And Aaron said, I hear it a lot of time down here in Georgia. Oh, we're a red state, man. We're a red state. Da-da-da-da. Pump our chests out. Guns, guns, guns. Guys, we are 1 or 2 elections away, if y'all are not active, mobilized, and involved, from that crap being gone, man. And all the gun owners are all of a sudden criminals. They're all of a sudden gangsters.
Look at Colorado. Colorado was the Mountain West, a western state, and they were all, big and bad, and it just got obliterated. They got obliterated because gun owners are not, they're not either the groups on the ground are not getting it done, or they're using the wrong tactics, or whatever the case may be. But like you said, it's not just in East Coast states or West Coast states. It's happening in Minnesota. It's happening in freaking Wyoming. It's happening in Iowa. And this is a major fight from Bloomberg, and that's not even talking about the real problem, or one of the real culprits. All these so-called pro-gun Republicans in these states who are making deals. We talked about Iowa red flags here a little bit ago. And with the red flags push here in Iowa, we've got Republican House Speaker Pro Tem, Little Matty Winchell, we call him, bragging on Iowa Press how he's reaching across the aisle and having these meetings with the anti-gun.
And he is little in every sense of the term. That guy, and the guy's ego. I'm sorry. So, folks, again, in full disclosure, I used to be. I got to jump in here. I used to work in the Iowa legislature as a clerk or as a legislative aide, and Matt Winchell is like one of those guys whose ego wakes up in the morning before he does.
He got beat up as a kid. He got
the crap beat out of him apparently at some time along the way, and now he's made it his life's mission to make everybody else miserable and to wield whatever power he can get against other people. So the guy's a complete loser.
But yeah, here in Iowa, he's bragging about how they're reaching across the aisle to make these deals. And this is in pro-gun Iowa, where gun owners have crushed just last election cycle our 34-year incumbent Senate Majority Leader. And so, again, you take the Bloomberg money with the media support, with weak-kneed, feckless losers so oftentimes in leadership. And guys, gun owners need to get up and get fighting, because this is going to be done before we even know it if we're not using the right kind of tactics. We probably should discuss, though, Chris or Ben or someone, we're getting questions on what exactly is a red flags gun seizure law. We discussed that briefly, but we haven't really broke it down yet.
I can, unless somebody else wants to take that, I can kind of explain.
Go for the red flag.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right, so for those of you who don't know what red flags are, or what this term means that we keep throwing around here, red flags is what they passed in Florida, what they're trying to pass in other states. It is simply this. It is gun confiscation by declaration rather than adjudication. And right here, to put it into perspective, I'll tell you what our bill looks like right here in Ohio. This bill, our House Bill 585, would make it so that anybody could go before a judge and petition that judge to have somebody else's guns taken away. And that accused person would not even know that this hearing was happening before knock, knock, knock at the door. There's the local sheriff's department there to confiscate your firearms. No due process, no chance to stand before the judge and offer defense. It is literally guilty until proven innocent. Then a couple weeks later, you get to come back in and try to prove to the court. You get the luxury of hiring an attorney, spending maybe $5,000 retaining them. You get to come back in and try to prove your innocence. Now, and to put this further into perspective, a lot of guys like to think of it this way. Imagine you're going through a divorce, or you're in child custody court. What would your spouse? What would be more damning against you than an emergency protection order that removes somebody's firearms from the situation. I mean, this system will be abused. It is the destruction of due process, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. That makes sense? But if you guys have any more questions about that, just hit us on the comment section. We can go into that further. But there's different grades of these red flag laws. There's emergency protection orders where you do get to come in. But even those are going to be completely abused through the court system. And like some friends of ours have said before, you get a bawling spouse or crying spouse in a backroom hearing where somebody isn't allowed to defend themselves or to be there to defend. A judge will sign a ham sandwich. That's just the way it works.
Oh yeah, and they'll judge shop and everything else. I don't even care if it's in the county. They'll find a judge that they need to find, and I guess depending on the size of the county. But one thing that Aaron said was about these weak need politicians and these Republicans. I mean, can you imagine how stupid that the Democrats or the left or whoever the gun grabbers think that these Republicans are when they're like, oh yeah, let's reach across the aisle. Do you ever, now you hear Democrats all the time, we need to work across the aisle when they're in the minority. But when they're in the majority, they ram it down our freaking throat. Yeah. Okay. And so for all these Republicans out there, look, I'm a conservative. Okay. Many times I vote Republican, 100% for sure. Never vote for the left. But I'm not going to vote for somebody who doesn't agree. But that's the point, is that these Republicans campaign year after year after year on saying what they're going to do. And then when something bad happens, none of them have any spine. And that's not a surprise to us, but it's probably surprising to a lot of y'all out there. When it happens, it's like, wow, Marco Rubio, I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's like, no, man. I mean, this guy is just,
small hands.
Small hands. Yeah, exactly. He's just playing the game. And we're not.
Well, and I know it's an inaugural show. We're not trying to get too deep into the details here, but I think it's, again, we have to point out what is the whole point here is this is the front lines. Organizations like the ones here on the front lines in these fights, and so many times, besides the weak-kneed lawmakers who screw us over, it is cooperating organizations in the states. I know we all have this problem. You've got Buckeye Firearms Association, Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. You got Georgia Carry. You got the chumps at the Iowa Firearms Coalition, and these guys all.
I feel like we've just blown way past that way too fast. Like we should stop and talk about exactly all the betrayals, the endorsements that
we could
guys
do that
like
for hours. I mean, maybe we'll make a full episode down the road. 15 minutes on the betrayals of BFA and stuff. But that's the point here. Is these deals are never done. It's never, ever just the one side that hammers stuff through. They always have cooperation from friendly organizations that purport to fight for gun rights, and they make a deal because they like to have their ears tickled and their back scratched, and these guys will sing, lawmakers will praise these organizations on the floor when, of course, they naturally attack organizations like ours. They'll do emails about them to their district, and then the way the game is played, of course, those entities then protect these same anti-gun lawmakers at election time. They endorse them. They give them money. And, we're going to name names here on this show for sure when
it comes the time.
To what's going on. Chris, make sure and check our Facebook page and make sure we're not seized up there. I just want you to confirm what you're seeing there is the correct thing. We're seeing this happen. We're seeing this happen in states all across the country right now. For heaven's sakes, this year in Oklahoma, we're not active in Oklahoma, but in Oklahoma, these guys got constitutional carry on Governor Fallon's desk. And it was the NRA affiliate, for heaven's sakes, who came out and publicly opposed the bill and gave Governor Fallon then the cover that she has to have to say, well, no, we're going to veto it, and I've got the support of my good friends at the whatever the group's name is down there in Oklahoma. So we're going to have a lot of fun over these upcoming episodes, exposing these deals. It's never just the media. It's never just a Bloomberg group. It's never just lawmakers. It's a conglomerate designed to make a lot of noise, and our gun rights suffer. Our gun rights suffer.
Exactly. Yeah. Do y'all see the question from Chris Mackey? Do we want to answer that one right now? Does anybody want to answer that? Can anybody see that? Yay or nay? If nay, please explain. Thanks.
Well, I think it's. I mean, I can. Somebody else can go on this on the NRA question. I can do it too, but I think
go for it.
I think it's a function of look. I mean, The simple fact of the matter, I was talking to a Reuters reporter about this very same question. He called me last week. We're being told video is seized up. So as long as
real quick, if you can see the video, if you can hear us fine, please comment yes or whatever. I can hear you down in the comment sections. Okay,
give us a thumbs up.
That'll be quick. Up. Mickey says it's good.
All right,
Kent says it's good. So keep going, Aaron, about this question about the NRA.
The simple fact of the matter is that in the last couple of months alone, well, I guess in the last 8 months now, the NRA has come out backing a ban on bump stocks. Right, we all know that. They've come out supporting the Fix NICS, gun database expansion, the largest expansion of a gun database in American history. The same bill that Dianne Feinstein could not get passed under the Obama administration because the NRA was opposed to it then. All of a sudden now they're supporting this agenda. And so, time and time again, when gun owners need them the most, these guys fall down on the job. They fall down on the job. And that's all I can say right now from a federal standpoint. We could discuss their endorsements till we're blue in the face. But certainly recently, when gun owners need them the most, when we're under these high-profile attacks on our Second Amendment freedom, they're sitting right there making deals with Dianne Feinstein. I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to say. And certainly we could all talk for a lengthy period of time about state-level operations where we are much more at the tip of the spear, where we see the NRA organizations, their in-state affiliates, screwing us over. It happens over and over and over and over and over again. So that's a given.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a particular problem here in Minnesota. I know we got a lot of Minnesotans watching.
It's not exclusive to Minnesota.
But
talk about them. Talk about them. Go.
Minnesotans know all about the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. They hopped on the scene a couple of years ago. They're the NRA affiliates, and they give bad ratings, bad endorsements. We got a vote on constitutional carry in the Senate in 2015, and a whole bunch of anti-gun leftists voted no and killed constitutional carry for Minnesota. And most of them got A ratings and endorsements from the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus and from the NRA. And so we did our job as a grassroots gun rights organization. We started exposing these anti-gunners in their districts at election time, and they attacked our organization because, hey, their job, certainly in Minnesota, is to protect the legislature, to protect legislators, and hey, gun rights be damned. So they have been a visceral enemy of gun rights in Minnesota for years now. And I know it's the same in Ohio and a lot of these other states.
And there's exceptions. I mean, there's always exceptions. We've had fun. Our organization, our sister group in Wyoming Gun Owners, has had a incredible relationship with the NRA in Wyoming. We just wrapped up 2 nights ago, in fact, the primaries out there. And the NRA and Wyoming gun owners teamed up together to inform our members in a lot of races out there about a bunch of bad Republicans, even in Wyoming. And Senator Fred Emmerich from Laramie County, Wyoming, is soon to be former Senator Fred Emmerich, because WIGO and NRA members in Wyoming threw him to the curb 2 nights ago. 12-year incumbent in the state Senate in Wyoming voted against constitutional carry, voted against gun-free zone repeal, voted against campus carry, and guess what? He's finally been given the boot. So we have some exceptions like that, but man, you're exactly right.
There's a highly scientific term for that in the gun rights community. It's called curb stomped him right out of office.
Yeah, speaking of curb stomped, huge embarrassment for the NRA down here in Georgia. Of course, Georgia gun owners, we were hounding the candidates. There were 5 Republican candidates in the Republican primary May 24th. I think it was the day. We got in these guys. We got cameras on them. We did this. We did that. Fill out our survey 100%. Say that you're going to support constitutional carry and all these other gun issues. Virtually every single one of these guys had filled it out. Well, the NRA, they put huge money, statewide mailings, TV, radio ads behind this guy named Casey Cagle. He's a Republican, but he was basically the lieutenant governor. He was basically the heir apparent here in Georgia. He was going to follow up. And Georgia gun owners hammered this guy because he wouldn't fill out our survey. I ended up going and putting a camera in his face, a camera in Casey Cagle's face, over at the Cobb County Republican headquarters. I'm in Cobb County right now. I said, Casey, what's the deal? You said you don't support constitutional carry. I mean, and this is a guy super powerful, tons and tons of money behind him. Long story short, there was a two candidates advanced, Brian Kemp and Casey Cagle. The day after, or an hour after I put the camera in Cagle's face, I had the survey in my hand from Brian Kemp. And then on election day, we hammered Casey Cagle so hard. We didn't tell people who to vote for, but we hammered him so hard on election day, 70% to 30%. And the gun issue was the number one issue in the Republican primary because we made it the number one issue.
Definitely.
A lot of these Republicans and all these guys here on this video can attest to that, the Second Amendment Daily Show. They can attest to that all these Republicans will say, and you've heard this before. If you've heard this before, let me know in the comments section. Oh, I'd support the Second Amendment, but like Hillary Clinton, I support the Second Amendment, but we need common sense gun reforms. Guys, heard that a million times. You need to be able to read through that nonsense when you hear it. You need to dig into the details and hammer these guys and get them on record. Take your phone. Everybody's got a phone. Film them. Put them on the record. We call it confrontational politics. No harm intended physically whatsoever. It's simply politics. And then on shows like this, we can broadcast this information all across the country or all across the state and get them on the record. Yeah. But the Second Amendment issue continues to be one of the top issues down here in Georgia because we are making it the top issue in Georgia. They don't want to talk about it, but we're making them talk about it.
I know there's a lot of other points we can make here. All of this to bring this all the way back around to the old style of politics versus the new style of politics. Everything we're talking about here, these organizations, these politicos, these politicians who are all implementing the old model of politics, protecting their friends, this one-on-one sort of going to the Capitol and rubbing elbows with everybody. One guy with all these legislators, giving everybody pats on the back. We're getting our teeth kicked in. I mean, did you see that article Chris was just reading there? They've got 5 million supporters. They're running phone banks. They have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars being implemented here to destroy the Second Amendment across the nation, and in particular in all these states we're talking about. So we got to get, at least for our organizations, we are steeped in the digital age and the confrontational politics model where we expose anti-gunners. We don't play best friends with legislators whose job it is to destroy our gun rights. We don't play patty cakes. I like that phrase. We use that phrase a lot.
That was my air patty cakes right there.
We don't play patty cakes with politicians. We expose anti-gunners and we force votes wherever possible to get pro-gun legislation passed. Because in Minnesota, you all remember the March for Our Lives, March to Destroy Gun Rights. In Minnesota, we had somewhere around, the news said 18 to 20,000, probably closer to 15,000. We had 15,000 anti-gunners on the Minnesota Capitol steps screaming for gun control. I've never seen a crowd that size in all my life. And so
if you think that our weak-kneed Republican legislators aren't affected by that and that they will always stand there and remain steadfast when it comes to your gun rights, look at Florida. Look at all these other states where all this stuff has already passed.
Because for most politicians, we know this, they're politicians. They're going to go whichever way the wind blows. So if these people feel like they're going to lose their seats from mobilized anti-gunners, they're going to flip-flop. We've watched this in Minnesota. We've watched this in Ohio. Lion Senator Scott Jensen in Minnesota. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Republican.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about here.
For sure. Hey, guys, I want to interject here. We didn't plan this. I'm giving this guy so much free publicity. It's terrible. By the way, if you want to advertise on this show, and help us reach more Second Amendment supporters across the country, please comment in the comment section or whatever. But anyways, this guy here in Georgia, bulletheads.com, it goes right on your hat. What I'm going to do, what I want y'all to do is everyone who comments in the comment section from right now, you can say yes or I want it or whatever. Comment down there. I'm going to pick one person. It goes right on your hat right there. I don't really understand the purpose of it. I guess it's kind of cool. But I will send this to one person. I'm just going to randomly pick one person to win. So comment in the comment sections. If nobody does and nobody gets it, well, somebody did. But
can I comment or?
Yeah. Hey. I want it.
But somebody's going to get this, and you can check it out, whatever. But like I said, if you want to advertise, feel free to contact us. We'd love to have you advertise and help us get this message out to more and more people. There's a guy down there, Fast Group LLC, wants to advertise, maybe, guys. But here's what something I want to talk about is November 6th. Okay, we hear about it all the time. You hear the blue wave, the red tsunami, or the red wave. You hear President Trump, the red tsunami's coming. Guys, I've seen what's been happening over the last 2 years. The left is fired up. A lot of the right is kind of asleep. Now, some people would argue with that and say, oh, we're fired up too, da-da-da-da-da-da. But it's like Ben said, you got 15,000 people rallies, 30,000 people. They've got a lot of money. They've got a lot of backing. They're walking door to door. They're making calls.
Well, look at the special elections. Special elections have been
right.
Yeah, and races have been a lot closer.
Wisconsin's been getting beat to death on special elections. The Ohio congressional was narrowly won in a race that Trump carried by 12%. So we gotta get ready. Gun owners have to be ready for a big fight here, fight.
So, but here's what happens. Let's say everybody turns out on the left, and there's a blue wave. What that means is we're 75 days from Election Day. Most of our general assemblies or legislatures are going to come back in January. Okay, you could see a trickle-down effect into these state legislatures where as soon as less than 120 days from now, you're going to be having a major showdown battle over gun control in your capitals. Okay, and no matter what, you're going to have fights. But say there's a red tsunami, so to speak, or the Republicans hold the House, and that trickles down across the country, guys. We've got to always be on the defense and on the offense as well. But as we've been talking about all these issues tonight, a lot of people on the right sell out on, and that's why we've got to constantly be watching these people 100% all the time. But the left is not going away. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Chris and Ben mentioned this a little bit ago too, the idea of confrontational politics, and I don't want to get too high up, I guess, in the air, but the simple fact here, and again, guys, if you're watching on Facebook, take a moment, hit the link, and subscribe to our YouTube page. This is where we're going to be doing the most of our work going forward with this podcast. Get to that page, sign up, subscribe to it. Tell your friends, family.
And obviously we're in our infant stages here, but we plan on we would like to do this about once a week, probably on Thursday night. So if you guys have a night that you think it would be better on, hit that in the comment section. But guys, we've been getting all kinds of Facebook post reach, actions against these pages and stuff. So we are asking people right now. We think we can stay out of a lot of the garbage that's been happening on YouTube right now, with YouTube censoring a lot of these gun channels. But we're not sitting here blowing, shooting machine guns more, although we would like to be. So we're hoping that we can avoid some of that kind of stuff. So please, if you're on Facebook right now, jump over to our YouTube channel, like it on there, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because and YouTube doesn't compress the audio and the video. You can click on the little gear in the bottom right corner. You can probably watch it in higher resolution. So it's a better viewing experience over there anyway. So jump over there to our YouTube channel, click like and subscribe.
So Tyler says every night. He wants a daily show every night.
But
Tyler's
already talking smack, though, Patrick, about you, me, and Ben, because we don't have a beard like my buddy Chris does. I know Tyler's out there in Ohio. I know he's a good friend of Ohio.
Wait a minute. Now I know what Tyler we're talking about.
He's talking smack here. But I think, again, I wanted to mention the idea here that these organizations, as you're watching this podcast right now, folks, we all embrace a very intentional philosophy when it comes to gun rights. It's a confrontational philosophy, not interpersonal. It's not that we're throwing punches in the Capitol, or we don't wear camouflage fatigues in committee hearings, but as an organization, maybe sometimes they do in Georgia. I don't know, Patrick, about that. But as organizations, we take the approach on the onset that we're not at the Capitol to make friends. I got lots of friends. I don't need any more friends.
I got 6 kids
in the Capitol. And so as organizations, we're not down there when we lobby on behalf of our members. We're not down there on our hands and knees begging, saying, Mother, may I? We tell them very simply, here's the bill. You're going to co-sponsor it or vote, whatever the issue is, vote for it on the floor, and or you're not. But we can tell you this, you're going to hear about it at election time in your district if you don't. And it's not like it used to be 20 years ago. We're not going to have a we're not only going to have a shotgun skeet, fundraiser one time and, raise $500 and give it to one lawmaker who's been screwing us over for the last 4 or 14 years. Like Ben said, this is top flight, a mobilization techniques, social media, direct mail, which still works very well, by the way, in races like this, email deploys, all kinds of stuff. We kind of combine the old and the new.
Everything that the radical left is doing right now,
yes,
we are also doing that ourselves.
And so you have to understand, as a gun owner, if the organizations in your state, if you call them up, you email them, you watch them on social media, if they spend a lot of their time explaining why we can't pass gun bills now, or why Representative so-and-so is our friend, especially if he's the speaker or leadership in either chamber or the governor, if they sit there and promote these guys, you got to realize that you are involved with or watching or in some way a part of one of those sellout organizations that adopts a very access-based model. And they want to be friends with politicians. We want to be friends with politicians too. The one or two who are worth a damn in any one state, who will sponsor legislation, who will fight for gun owners. We'll protect that guy's back all the way to the wall. I mean, if they come after one of our bill sponsors, it's on. I'm getting on a rant here. I know that now, but you got to that is the issue. That access-based versus confrontational, that philosophy, that's where it's at. I'll move off my soapbox.
Have I mentioned that the Braves are in first place?
Come
on. I'm eating my Braves peanuts down here tonight. I know the Minnesotans are probably don't really care because they beat us in the series, even though Kent Hrbek pulled Ron Gantz's leg off the bag. But the Braves are in first place. We're much further ahead of schedule than we were supposed to be. I don't think the Indians are any good. I could be wrong. I do remember that we did beat them in 1995, which I guess was now 23 years.
Yeah, keep being proud of that.
In the World Series. Minnesota, Ohio, Iowa has the Des Moines Cubs. I'm not too worried about them.
I agree with Tyler Schaefer. Okay, time to replace the Atlanta guy.
Boot him.
These guys know that what happens down there, man.
Actually,
couldn't run the bases.
Actually, Patrick brought him up. I'm going to talk about it. We are the Kent Hrbek of the gun rights community. Kent Hrbek is famous from the 1990 World Series for yanking Ron Gantz's leg right up in the air on first base and getting him out. We are willing to go.
Y'all can have your Kent Hrbek, and I'll raise you a John Rocker. How about that? What about old John Rocker?
We'll raise you a Kirby Puckett or a small, not Smoltz. That's who we beat. I'm sorry, Jack Morris.
This guy Tyler says, okay, never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
We will pitch the entire game. We will. There's no depths to which we will not go to try to defend and maintain our gun rights. So we are the Kent Hrbek of the gun rights community. So
at least we haven't lost our tomahawk down here yet. At least we haven't lost the tomahawk. I guess the Indians
next
haven't
on Stacey Abrams' list of things she's gonna ask.
Oh yeah, she wants to blow up Stone Mountain. She wants to blow up.
But these guys, not to get back to it, but you mentioned Jack Morris, which is kind of a funny segue into this. I mean, they interviewed Jack Morris a while back and asked him how he went all 10 innings in Game 7, and he basically, this is a rough butchered paraphrase, but he said he hated the players he was playing against. He had this burning passion to win. And dude, it's the same in gun politics, man.
Yes,
gun rights organizations and gun leaders have to have the capacity to be ruthless.
Absolutely.
With anti-gun politicians, even more ruthless with those would-be friends that try and sell you out, and you save the most ruthlessness that you have, if that's even a word, for those organizations in your state who are making those deals, making those compromises happen. Nothing should make you more angry as a gun rights supporter, as a gun rights activist, as a gun rights leader than watching those betrayals take place. And we're just going to talk about this over and over and over on these podcasts. This is the problem we have right now in the gun rights movement at the state level. All of these people that play games and placate and protect these incumbents. And it's a timeless Well, they say it's the oldest profession, right? Politics is the oldest profession. Yes, even over the other one. It is the oldest profession.
Because most of them are hookers.
This is exactly how it works. They protect them and they sing their praises, and everybody gets along just great in the Capitol, except you guys, gun owners, get screwed. And so the organizations that dare to stand up and fight that crap and say, over our dead bodies, politically speaking, those are the organizations that are getting stuff done and are the most hated organizations in your state capital. It's almost to the point that if you can't find a politician who's talking trash about the gun rights organization in your state, you got to find a new one, guys. You got to find a new one.
Let the hate flow through the politicians towards you, okay? And if that is happening, that is meaning you are effective. If they're patting you on the back, if they're taking you out to dinner, if they're putting in resolutions on the floor of the House, praising you and giving you a framed copy of one, you're not doing it right. You're not doing
speaking of,
right.
I got to cut in right now. I'm sorry, Patrick. We have one of these chumps I've been talking about on the comment section right now, Jason Venard, one of our old friends here with the Iowa Firearms Coalition, one of the guys always talking smack about Iowa gun owners. Jason, we're so happy to have you tune in right now and trying to spread your fake news bullcrap. We all know what happened, my man, in 2018. It was the Iowa Firearms Coalition's main boy, little Matty Winchell, who walked over to the Senate the day of the committee vote and urged them to pull constitutional carry. And the Iowa Firearms Coalition, your boys, Jason, you guys sat there and didn't say a dang thing. We all know it was the Iowa Firearms Coalition, your boys, Jason, the group you're involved with, that sat there in the committee hearing in I'm on a rant now, guys, and I'm not going to stop. In 2017, when we were trying to pass the biggest gun rights bill in Iowa history, specifically Stand Your Ground law, your boy, Matty Winchell, sat right there and ran an amendment after a 4-hour closed session caucus and stripped out the immunity language. Now, we forced him to put it back in, forced him with calls and emails from mobilized gun owners. You know what? Your chumps at the Iowa Firearms Coalition, Dick Rogers and all these guys, they sat there and didn't say a word because they're there to protect weak-kneed politicians. And you know what's happening now, buddy? Old Jason, my man, your boy Matt Winchell is now the guy trying to pass red laws here in Iowa. So, Jason, if you want to attack us, for not being friends with lawmakers, go for it, big boy. If you want to attack us because we ask our members to raise money, we're guilty. We're guilty, man, because we take that money at election time and we expose fraudulent chumps like this all across the state. I was talking to a reporter with Reuters again a couple of days ago. He had just talked to Mike Gronstall. And for those of you who are not an Iowan, you should move here and become part of the greatest state. Talking to Mike Gronstall, the former majority leader of the Senate, 34-year incumbent lawmaker. And he was the number 1 target of gun owners in Iowa in 2016. And gun owners in Council Bluffs booted him to the curb. And we're going to the Reuters reporter talked to him, and he said, "Boy, that guy doesn't have a lot of good things to say about you." And I said, "Well, that's exactly how we like our politicians who are anti-gun. We like them to hate us because if they don't,
amen,
that means we're not doing our job right." So again, Jason, so happy to see you on here. You are a quintessential Quisling example of what we're talking about with weak-kneed activists who protect lawmakers. Shame on you for not trying to fight for gun rights. Instead, you're fighting for politicians. I will shut up now.
He's one of those operators. He's one of those operators. So if you look on his profile picture here, he's like, one of these guys,
tough guy. Tough guy.
Speaking of Iowa, we're going to tone it down a little, but not a lot. Okay, so we're hearing a lot all across the country. And each state has different laws, but 18 to 21, I know handgun laws are different from long guns and this and that. I have 2 daughters, another one on the way. I know a lot of us here have daughters. I'm not sure the breakdown. There's 18 children between the 4 of us here, guys. But we have this girl out in Iowa, Molly Tibbetts, and I'll let all you guys originally from Iowa, and I think it's no secret about that, guys. Anybody can talk about it, but She's running on a back road. I've been to Iowa many, many, many times. In fact, I think I've been to every county in Iowa in a previous career.
You helped us lit drop against the Steve Sodders debacle in Marshalltown.
In Marshalltown, exactly. But this girl, Molly Tibbetts, okay, everybody especially has a special place, especially if you're a parent or even if you're not, a special place, especially for our young girls when they grow up, and none of us are there yet. But she's just out for a run. Okay, she's out for a run. This illegal, we don't know what happens, and I'm not even saying that what we're about to talk about could help her, but these politicians, this girl is 20 years old. She could have already been to war and back. Okay, and again, I don't know the laws in Iowa, but she's prevented from protecting herself with a firearm. So, Aaron, whoever wants to talk about it, I guess I told too much of the story there, but this Molly Tibbetts is what we're talking about.
It's the saddest story in Iowa and in a number of years here. Certainly sweeping the country right now. I mean, it's a beautiful young gal, 20-year-old ISU student who's out there jogging, and this illegal alien. Of course, the news here in Iowa calls him an undocumented worker. This illegal alien been here for 6-7 years away. It sounds. He was seen on video circling the block as she was out for a run, and they have video that they have not yet released, showing him confronting her, and somehow they have video of her telling him she's going to call the police, and he pulled her phone out, according to what we're seeing in the news right now, and he batted that away. And of course,
I didn't know that.
The gun. Well, maybe I'm not sure if he batted it away, but she referenced her phone and pulling her phone and calling the police. And
they have video of this.
They have it on video somehow, somewhere. And so, the gun guy in me, all I could think of is, man, if she could have pulled a Glock 43, she could have put 5 in his chest, and we could have been celebrating Iowa's 4th self-defense shooting this year. Actually, that's 3 in just Des Moines, 4th this year, instead of mourning the loss of this incredible young lady. But yeah, and it's not just that she can't carry a handgun until she's 21, which it used to be 18 here in Iowa. But lawmakers now across the country want to make it where you can't carry any gun, own any gun until you're 21. And so if they had their way, even if Molly Tibbetts was home, in her living room, with the shotgun or her dad's AR-15 or her own AR-15, sitting there, they would want that to be taken away from her. And they've just announced tonight. We posted on our Facebook page. I'm reading from it right now on my phone here, but preliminary results of the autopsy showed multiple sharp force injuries as the cause of death. So this was a horrific, violent crime. And it's just
this. You see
animals.
We see it in our states all across the country. They talk about magazine bans. Okay, they passed a big magazine ban in Illinois, California, New York, Colorado. My wife's family is from out there originally. If anybody's from Colorado watching, how are y'all doing out there? But 15-round mags out in Colorado. Nobody follows the law. Saw an article today from 2017. They just say nobody follows the law. It doesn't make anyone safer. It doesn't matter. People ignore it. And then down here in Georgia, this governor candidate on the Dem side, Stacey Abrams, she wants to limit to 10 rounds. You're telling me, and I'm just rhetorically speaking about these gun grabbers and specifically the Molly Tibbetts case, if it took her 11 rounds, if she had a firearm. And again, I'm not saying she would have had one, but if you took her 11 rounds to stop her attacker, you're telling me that she would not be allowed to have that? It would be illegal. She would be breaking the law. I mean, it is unbelievable what these politicians are trying to do to our rights. And that's why it's just, we're kind of like, I mean, with all due respect to Paul Revere, we are screaming from the mountaintops in a polite but firm manner to our people and to the politicians, protect it now. Fight back now. Because if you don't, your rights are going to be gone. Okay, Hillary, what did she talk about? Australian-style gun control in the 2016 race. You can look on the internet right now. Australian-style gun control. They literally took and Chris, what are they called? The steamrollers or whatever on the roads. I know you've done some of that in previous years, but they took all the guns, and they put a freaking steamroller on top of them. Pavement roller or whatever, and rolled over them and crushed them. That is what they want to do here in our country. And don't let anybody get away with saying they don't want to take your guns away. Okay? Right. Again, another rant from me there. But limiting magazines, gun registration, repealing stand your ground, taking firearms away without due process, limiting magazines to 10 or 15 rounds, taking away AR-15s, which are owned by tens of millions of Americans, guys. This is a full court assault on us. That's what it is.
Yeah, and the left uses every opportunity. If the killer of Molly Tibbetts was a gun rights member, maybe looked like one of us, it'd be on every fake news channel, station, newspaper, website, all the way across the country here. But they kill innocent people, and the law was against Molly. If she wanted to carry a pistol, she couldn't carry the pistol. It's as simple as that. In Minnesota, we don't have stand your ground law. If she was out jogging, even if she could have carried a pistol, we have no stand your ground law. And so she would have ended up, in court, possibly for years, trying to prove her innocence, going bankrupt, all this stuff, because these politicians won't pass pro-gun bills. They attack our gun rights. And then the establishment gun organizations back their play. This is what we're here to do, to expose these people in these states across the country and make sure gun owners know what the heck is going on. Because our gun rights suffer, freedom suffers as a consequence, and politicians win and we lose.
Tyler
I think we're also going to have some time. Go ahead, Chris, with Tyler. Go ahead.
I like Tyler's comment just there. He's like, magazine bans are an absolute joke. When we have police officers, with much respect, who shoot 60 rounds and don't hit their target, yet a civilian is now banned to 10 rounds, absolutely asinine.
Hardy Strong Bear says, Patrick, my 12-year-old daughter can shoot my AR-15s. I'm teaching her to protect herself and not count in the law to do it, man. We dig that, man. That is phenomenal. Phenomenal stuff. Someone here is saying, making the obvious point, you guys, it's simple, just ban murder. It's the same old argument that, if we could just stop, it's not about the guns, it's about the criminal behavior. And if we can't stop murder with a law, how are we going to stop it? By trying to go after gun owners? It's simply, a joke. But I also wanted to mention, kind of getting back to just what we're going to do in this podcast too. But we're not just going to hear from, I think, activists like us. I know we intend in the near future to be doing some pretty cool interviews with some pretty awesome guys, elected officials who are on the front lines. We've mentioned. I think it's pretty obvious the disgust and disdain that we have for a bunch of lawmakers. We take a very different approach, towards how
we're
we
talking
do
about you,
grassroots.
Speaker of the House, Kurt Doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
In Minnesota. Sorry, man.
So we can give you guys the chapter and verse on how many scuzzy politicians there are, but there's also some champions, some absolute champion lawmakers out there, and we're proud to be very good friends with the best lawmakers in a number of states. And I know we're going to have those guys on here doing interviews with them in future broadcasts. We're going to have lawmakers
and gals.
We're going to have, I think we may have one of those on this comment section right now. I think we have some of the Kellers on here right now from Ohio. And so we're talking about some of the best pro-gun lawmakers in places like Ohio, places like Wyoming, places like Iowa. And I think that we would have one in Minnesota if there was one. Is that?
I was going to say you may have some lawmakers from your states, but there won't be any Minnesota lawmakers on this podcast with them.
But it won't be
unless
very
they
long.
Want to apologize.
It won't be very long.
We'll see what happens in November. We have some prospects, and we'll talk about that stuff in the future for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Some big changes in the gun rights community in Minnesota over the last couple of weeks. More on that, I guess, down the road. But so yeah, look forward to that, guys. But like Patrick said, by all means, guys, you've got to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we've got to make sure you guys can see this on that channel. That's where it's going to be happening, guys, because these pages are being targeted by leftist organizations. We hear it directly on our pages. We know our post reach is going down. The Facebook, the YouTube channel is going to be where it's at. So be sure you've subscribed to that. That's the place.
Well, and share that. I mean, share these in your the other gun pages you're in. We're all part of hundreds of them, I know. Share this with your friends, with your family. Post on your forums. All these gun forums that we're all a part of, put this stuff in there, get the word out, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, the other thing is y'all can see it going right along the bottom of the podcast video here, guys. SecondAmendmentDaily.com. SecondAmendmentDaily.com. We have a lot of Second Amendment stories posted on there. We've got a lot of contributors from all across the country who are contributing to that website, guys. But sign up for the email alerts. That's another thing, okay? Even if some of these social media platforms ultimately get cut down, I mean, it is what it is. You probably heard of Alex Jones, or making an example of Alex Jones, of course. But That's the easy guy to go after. Okay, we are the tougher ones. Okay, he's not influencing gun politics at state capitals anywhere in the country for the most part, from what I know, but we are. Okay, we are, and that's why we need y'all to go to secondamendmentdaily.com, secondamendmentdaily.com. Go there, sign up for the email list so that all our contributors from across the country can reach y'all 100%, no doubt about it. If you want to help sponsor this show, not only here or on YouTube or elsewhere, I'm just looking at the numbers right now, guys. We've had over 43,000 people have watched this show tonight. Okay. Now we've been on for a good little while. There's 45 or so y'all on right now. Over 43,000 people have watched the show tonight. It's only going to get bigger. We want y'all to come back, like the Second Amendment Daily page so you get alerts. Like some of these gun pages that you see out there, guys. But most importantly, like and share, pass around to family and friends. But if you want to sponsor, send us a private message or whatever. We would love to. I mean, think about that. 43,000 people, and it's only going to go bigger because there's going to be a lot more people watching this after we go off, guys. But 43,000 people. If you want to advertise or sponsor this show with your pro-gun business, or even Jim's Heating and Air Company or whatever you want to do, guys, we would love to have you do that, and talk to y'all about that. There's no doubt about it. Guys, I know it's getting late. We've got kids. What do we want to do? What do y'all want us to do? Do y'all want us to keep talking? Do you want to keep talking with us in the comment sections down there, guys?
Talking, Chris, here, guys? We're getting a lot of folks asking about, calling in. I know we can't do that tonight, but is that going to be something that we can do pretty quick here, get that taken care of?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And yeah, I want to say that this show is going to grow. We're going to get more functionality as we go along. We'll be able to take callers here pretty shortly, maybe in a couple of weeks. So we're definitely looking at that already.
William Haddock says, force Ohio gun owners to talk. He loves being on camera and talking. LOL. So we're getting
William, cut it out.
Some noise here from the Buckeye State. So, well, yeah, that's kind of the main focus here, guys. This is that podcast. This is going to be the source for all things gun rights related in the political sphere. You're not going to see us doing, AR-15 demonstrations or comparing handguns. We love that stuff. But that's not what we're best at. What we're best at is crushing anti-gun legislation, exposing anti-gun lawmakers, and trying to advance your gun rights in the various states. And insofar as we can help you guys be aware of these fights in your states or what you guys do to get more involved, we're here for you guys as that kind of that front line in the fight for gun rights at the state level.
We're also, just to throw this in there too, we're going to be talking about a lot of the stuff that happens on current events. It come right after the Las Vegas shooting came out that everybody's gonna try to start banning bump stocks. There was a lot of confusion. A lot of gun owners were saying, that doesn't even affect me. I don't care. Let them have it. That kind of stuff. We're going to talk about all these different issues, the ramifications for all this different stuff. These plastic guns. The days are over when we gun owners can just say, we'll let them have a little bit of that, because as we saw after Parkland, the moment that some of these pro-gun legislators said, we're willing to deal on this, it was the crack in the dam that became an absolute torrent of gun control in some of these states. So we cannot compromise, not 1 millimeter, because the day we do, they take the mile. That's what the radical left is after. They're after everything. They're not going to stop until they get it. So we're going to be talking about all those kinds of little issues that come up along the way, and we want to flesh some of this stuff out through these episodes so that you guys
you guys can always come to us on the Facebook page and let us know. Hey, send us an article, send us a link, something you want us to talk about or think through, or go through, hit the Facebook page and let us know what you want to see being talked about, because I think Chris has made a good point that a lot of gun people, it's easy to kind of get put back on your heels, like, well, who needs a 3D printed gun, or who needs a bump stock? I don't have a bump stock, to be totally honest. I don't have one. But the minute that we give a centimeter, that's it. You pass one bill like that, and the anti-gun side knows that these guys are willing to make a deal because these guys are scared. And we offer a
well, we've seen this stuff a million times too. Anyway, I mean, this is all part of the same conversation. I mean, it was just maddening to watch what happened to Florida at the time, and that's kind of how this show, came to life here, as we see the old model of politics, or just politicians being skeezy and organizations running interference for them, doing this stuff. And that's why we're here to pull back the curtain on these things, current events. Because again, bump stock bans, they don't stay bump stock bans once they make it onto a legislative floor. They turn into monster gun control bills, mag bans in Minnesota. The stuff turned. We had 6 or 8 different Republicans sponsoring similar bump stock bans. All of those would turn into universal background checks, red flags, AR-15 bans. This stuff happens every single time, and so this is why we oppose all gun control all the time when it's sponsored by everybody. We don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, because it all turns out the same way. Gun owners get kicked in the teeth, and they get some political gain. So we're going to be pulling that curtain back every single time we go live.
Listen to this real quick, and I know we got to close here, but everybody out there, you're going to want to listen to this, because they say California a lot of times leads the rest of the country. And I saw this article today, but there's 12 days left in their legislative session. So if anybody out there is watching in California, or if you have friends out there,
we have some right now who are watching in California.
Got some people in California. Yep. So Senate Bill 1100, again, I'm not going to get too much in the weeds, raises the age to purchase from 18 to 21, already banned on handguns to 21, below 21. You've got one gun a month, no more than one firearm in 30 days. That's another. This is a rapid fire. Okay, we're going to be seeing this stuff across the country. And the next one establishes a lifetime ban on gun ownership for anyone who's involuntarily admitted. We've dealt with these issues in Georgia, guys. Involuntarily admitted has obviously we don't want a madman with a gun, but there's a lot of gray area there when you can get involuntary admitted for alcohol or drug rehabilitation. I know that in the state of Georgia. But this is in California. Request gun violence restraining orders against employees or students who attended in the last 6 months of schools. Currently only family members can. Creates a lifetime ban on gun ownership for anyone convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence. So obviously tough issues. There's no doubt about it. You can't blanket people like these left wingers. What they're trying to do is put you in lists and get you banned, as many people as possible, banned forever. So that is coming across the country, guys. That's just happening in California right now as we speak. But Chris, if you want to roll there, roll with it, my man. But a lot of fights are ahead, no doubt about it.
And as the left continues to grow their grassroots army opposing pro-gun legislation, which is what we're seeing in spades across the nation, it's absolutely imperative that gun owners do the same. This is what we are doing in our states and the states that we work in, growing grassroots armies, because, hey, you know what? Just like we saw here in Minnesota, 15,000 anti-gunners on the Capitol steps, and legislators just going nuts trying to pass gun control legislation. Well, the rock solid members of Minnesota gun rights, grassroots gun owners across the state destroyed their ambitions, poured phone calls, emails, political pressure in spades into the Minnesota legislature and shut.
And you Ohioans who are watching this right now, you know who you are too. But that's exactly right. Keep going, Ben.
Absolutely. This is what can happen and does happen in states with a mobilized grassroots army of gun owners. So I'm asking you guys, another time here, go like, share, subscribe to our Second Amendment Daily YouTube channel. YouTube,
Second Amendment Daily Show.
Yep. Like, share, subscribe on there. Like the Second Amendment Daily Facebook page. Share this stuff with your family, your friends, on all the gun forums, with all your gunnies. And that's what you can do right now to help expand this model of politics to stop the gun control wave that is coming across the country.
This is the only way it's going to get done. This is the only way we're going to stop them is new tactics, new techniques, and new philosophy. No more butt kissing, no more playing games, no more giving the benefit of the doubt. It is a ruthless attack on lawmakers who try to come after our gun rights, period, every time.
So ruthless we will be. And folks, all you got to do is look at the success that our members and supporters in these states have had in standing up to this stuff that has passed in other states. So guys, we're going to wrap it down for now. As we just got done saying, go check us out on YouTube, like and subscribe over there. I think one of the other guys here said it's a very nice experience over there, higher resolution, better audio. Facebook compresses all this different stuff. So guys, jump over there to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, share that link on your own Facebook pages, ask your friends to join up and watch and subscribe to this show. So guys, we plan on being back here again next Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. That's the tentative scheduled time.
7:30 Eastern. 7:30 Eastern.
Sorry. Yeah.
Some of us are in Central Time here.
To us in the Eastern Time block, that's the only one that matters. But yeah, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be back here next week doing the exact same thing. We'll be talking about different topics every single week. And one of these weeks, we're going to have our first guest up here on the show. So until then, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe. Carry every day. Carry everywhere. We'll be back here with more later on next week. Thanks a lot, guys.
Good night, guys. Take care.
Bye. Later.